Check this out, folks. Bought myself a new toy. Hygger HGO44 3-in-1 internal filter. I first saw it on Rob's channel, Defrese Aquarium, so I'll link his review down below if you want to check that out as well. But as soon as I saw it, I knew I wanted to try it. Cost me $15.99 for the large version, and there is a smaller version for $13.99. They are air-driven filters, much like the box filters you'll have seen me use before and have sworn by for years and years and years. But this is like a new take on them. Bit more stylish than the box filters we're used to, I suppose. And yeah, I think they look pretty neat. If they work as well as the box filters, I may be converted. They call them 3-in-1 because they're going to be a mechanical filtration, biological, and also they create aeration for your tank as well. So let's have a wee look. You can see these wee cutouts on the side of the cradle. Let's say you can pull this section out, and this is where it holds all of your media. Looks pretty cool, doesn't it? As you can see, all the water is drawn up through the bottom and then up through the top there. The cap comes off easily enough, and then that's where you're going to place all your biological media, which they do give you. Yeah, I think it's good mark so far. The bottom half is a sponge that looks to be coarse enough to allow plenty of flow, but tight enough so that it's going to grab the debris. That is exactly what you want it to do. Trying to give you a closer look here, but I'm not too sure how to get it out. Hold on a minute. Had to grab my trusty stainless steel skewer there to pop it out, but yeah, look, good quality sponge. It's solid all the way through, and like I say, going to allow plenty of flow whilst capturing all the particulates out of the water you're going to need to. Shaped exactly like the casing, so there's going to be no bypass at all. Feeling pretty good about this so far. Dropped something in there, haven't I? Hold on, let me get that out. You could, I'm thinking, if you wanted to, add a little bit of floss, filter floss in the top, just to really polish the water, but I'm not convinced it's going to be necessary, and it might even strangle the flow a little bit. As the floss becomes clogged, it's going to reduce the amount of water that can run through, isn't it? It's going to affect the speed of the water getting drawn in anyway, isn't it? And that's going to mean there's not as much going to be pulled in through the grills at the bottom. This is the box filter that I've been talking about, that I use in all of my small tanks. Same sort of principles, air driven. These pulling water from the top and the bottom, so I've got sponge at the top and the bottom, starting with coarse and then going through medium and then to fine, really fine stuff. That's that's a bit that gets really mucky. And then in between that, or if this is actually a double box filter, in fact, if you've got a single box filter at the bottom, you're going to find your biomedia. So this is what I'm going to be replacing on one of the tanks that I've got set up, and we'll test it over a period of time to see if it's as good. Before that though, the bio balls that came with the filter, I'm thinking might be a little bit dusty. Might have a wee bit of dust inside the packet, so I'm going to rinse that in a wee bit of tank water. Just to make sure I'm not putting anything in the tank that I don't really want to add to it. I think you can see on the surface of that water there is a wee bit of dust, so glad I did that. Then we're going to put that into the top section of the filter media chamber, I'm calling it anyway. I'm going to need to run both these filters for a while though, because obviously the Hygger isn't cycled yet, so I'm going to steal some of the cycled media from the box filter and add it to the Hygger, just to get it seeded, to almost give it a kickstart, if you like. That should mean that the Hygger gets cycled a lot quicker, hopefully, and we can eventually remove the box filter entirely. That's the idea anyway. I'll probably remove some of the media from the box filter bit by bit over time, allowing the Hygger to catch up until the point that I can remove the box filter altogether. Gonna take a wee while, but one thing this hobby teaches us is patience, isn't it? With that done though, we can pop the cap on and then slide it back into the casing and it's ready to go. All that I'd need to do then is put my box filter back together, so we'll do that next. One thing I've noticed that the box filter might have over the Hygger is that when I add the uplift tube, you'll see in a minute, it's angled at the top. The Hygger doesn't have that, the air just comes straight out and upwards. So the reason that's an issue is because if your outlift tube is angled, it's going to push the water around the tank and create a bit of movement, horizontal movement. Whereas the Hygger is only pulling water from the bottom of the tank and taking it to the top. Might be a small detail, but a detail no less. It would be good if there was a wee clip that you could add on the top should you want to move the water around, or even remove the one that's there and replace it with a different one. I'm not necessarily calling that a deal breaker, but certainly a point worth making, I reckon. The suction cups that come with it look different than I'm used to seeing with Hygger products. They've maybe put some time into these and maybe improved them a wee bit, so we'll see how well they work. I like the shape fitting as well. That obviously slots into the casing and then you twist it to get it in position. One thing they don't include is a check valve or a non-return valve that only allows the air to go one way. So should something go wrong, water is prevented from backflowing. But, do you know, these are pennies, man. And if you've been in the hobby for a while, you've probably got a few of them knocking about. The other thing you could add, if you wanted to, is a regulation valve. So you put that in the middle of your airline and you're able to adjust the amount of air that's going through. Not really sure that's necessary, if I'm honest with you, if you've got the right air pump. Some air pumps do allow you to adjust the flow, maybe a wee dial, or in this case it's a wee button that you press. But honestly, if you're getting the right size for the amount of flow you're looking for in the right tank, yeah, I'm not really sure that it's necessary. Alright, let's get them suction cups in then. Like I said, they fit nicely into the wee slot. When you click them in, you give them a wee twist to get them into position. They're going to hold nice and steady. No issues with that. Next we can add our airline. Now I do prefer if the wee spoke that you add your airline to is made of metal. These can snap sometimes, but the one on this Hygger looks pretty solid and should, in the unlikely event that it does snap off, it's easy enough to glue back together. I may be being a bit picky now, hey? Just in case you've never used these before, if you're not too sure, the airline then goes to your check valve that I showed earlier, and then another bit of airline goes to your air pump, and that's up and running. All we've got to do now is switch it on and give it a wee test. Yeah, look, pretty cool, hey? Pretty cool. The better. The better is certainly interested what's going on. But yeah, obviously the amount of air you're going to get is related to the air pump you use, but you can see it comes out in a nice steady stream. So yeah, I've got a feeling this is going to work very, very, very well. Really happy with it. It looks pretty cool, doesn't it? I like the way that you can see through the media chamber. So you can see how gunked up and dirty it's getting, and therefore when you might want to give it a wee clean out. I also like the fact that when you do want to do your maintenance, you can pull that media chamber straight out. Take it away, rinse out your media, give the sponge a squeeze out of some tank water and then replace it. It can be a little bit laborious removing the whole box filters and pulling off your airline, doing your maintenance, putting it all back together, but this is a very smart design. I'm a big fan of this. I'm liking this. I like the way it looks too. It's pretty cool, isn't it? It's classier than the box filters. Not that a filter has to look good, because you're probably going to hide it, but there is that to it. And then I deliberately didn't put that suction cup in quite properly. Oh, sorry, scaring my better there. I want to see how good these suction cups are. So far, so good. Yeah, I'm struggling to get that off, by the way. They are really, really, really good. Need to see what they are like over time. Sometimes suction cups can get a little bit tired, I suppose. You can regenerate them by dropping them in some boiling water for a wee bit, but yeah, if this is the new upgraded Hygger suction cup, I'm pretty impressed. As I just said though, you're probably not going to have your filter at the front of the tank in your face all the time. You're probably going to drop it behind some scape or some plants, which I'm going to do here. This cessifolia, I've not long put that in. It's just kind of growing out. Once I've trimmed it and replanted it, that's going to quickly hide the filter. But then, of course, I can push it out of the way for a quick look at the media chamber, see if it's time for a clean out. But yeah, I'm really happy so far. I really am. So I think the way they work is the air obviously goes in through there and then is quickly pulled up in this top section here. It doesn't look like it goes all the way to the bottom, which is a good thing. So you're not getting air blasting over your media all the time. You're only getting water and it's picking up the detritus and that. There's a wee rubber ring to make sure everything is sealed properly, so it's going to pull that water up through it. And yeah, I think it's smashing. Kind of bittersweet really, because I've sworn by them box filters for years and years and years, and this might finally be the replacement, which I'll be sad to not use the box filters anymore, but I really am taken with this. So I'm going to use it for a good bit of time and see if there's anything I don't really like. Like I said, I would like it if there was an option to have a clip on the top so you could direct the bubbles and the water that the bubbles are drawing, so you could create a wee bit of current, a wee bit of movement. But otherwise, I'm finding it hard to criticise this. I really do like them. I think I've said that a few times. I'm going to stop saying that now. And yeah, for the price, I think they're fantastic.